So, let's talk about a guy who didn't just climb one mountain, but three. A man who became the undisputed king of three completely different worlds: bodybuilding, Hollywood, and, yep, politics. I mean, the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger is so wild, it almost sounds fake, right? It's this incredible story of pure, relentless ambition that really all boils down to one powerful question: how on earth did he do it? Well, the answer starts with a simple, burning desire. And this right here, this quote from a young Arnold, this is the key. I want to be rich. I want to be somebody. For him, this wasn't just some daydream. It was a battle plan. Ambition was his survival tool, his way to claw his way out of a pretty rough childhood. Okay, so his first life? It was literally forged in iron. Bodybuilding wasn't just a hobby for him, it was his ticket out. It was a direct, physical solution to the problem of being this powerless kid in a country that had just lost a war. You have to really picture the contrast between his reality and his vision, because it is just staggering. On one side, you have his home in post-war Austria. We're talking no phone, no fridge, not even an indoor toilet. And he had a very strict father who made it pretty clear he preferred his older brother. But on the other side, you have this massive vision he built in his head: America, fame, becoming the absolute greatest. That vision, that was his escape hatch. And he chased that vision with an obsession that was, well, it was almost insane. He starts lifting at 14. By 18, he actually goes AWOL from the army just so he can compete. And he's totally fine spending a week in military jail for it. At just 20 years old, he becomes the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And then, just total, utter dominance. 6 Mr. Olympia titles in a row, followed by this controversial 7th win after being retired for 5 years. See, he didn't just want to win. He wanted to leave no doubt whatsoever. All right, so he's conquered the world of muscle. What's next? A completely different kind of mountain: Hollywood. But let's be clear, the industry wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for the Austrian oak. At first, Hollywood looked at him and just saw a list of problems. His body was too muscular, his accent too thick, and his name, Schwarzenegger, was way too confusing. But Arnold's genius was turning every single one of those so-called liabilities into an asset. Instead of changing himself, he forced Hollywood to change around him, making his physique and his accent totally iconic parts of a brand that would go on to make billions. And if you want to understand what an uphill battle he was fighting, get this. In his very first lead role, his accent was considered so hard to understand that the studio actually dubbed over every single one of his lines with another actor's voice. To go from that to having one of the most quotable voices in movie history, that is just an incredible turnaround. But here's the thing you have to get about Arnold. Thinking of him as just an actor, you'd be missing half the story, maybe even the most important half. At the same time he was building his film career, he was quietly building a financial empire. He was so much more than a movie star. The result of all of this, an estimated net worth of around $1 billion. And here's the kicker: that fortune didn't come from his movie paychecks. Nope, it came from a razor-sharp business mind that was working overtime long before he ever said, "I'll be back." He was a millionaire before he even had his first major movie role. Let that sink in. He started a brick-lane business with his friend, fellow bodybuilder Franco Columbu, then a mail-order fitness business. He took that money and poured it into real estate, buying up apartment buildings in Santa Monica. Later on, he made some really smart investments in companies like Starbucks and Google, and a hugely profitable stake in an investment firm called DFA. So he's conquered bodybuilding. He's conquered Hollywood. What could possibly be next? Well, how about his most improbable act yet? Running for governor of California, the 5th largest economy in the entire world. His political record is a real study in contrasts. He had some major, lasting successes. AB 32 was this groundbreaking environmental law, and his push for independent redistricting was a huge blow against gerrymandering. But on the flip side, he couldn't really fix the state's massive budget problems, and he often had this combative style with other politicians, which led to him leaving office with pretty low approval ratings. And of course, you just can't tell the Arnold Schwarzenegger story honestly without talking about the darker chapters. His incredible public achievements are definitely complicated by some very serious personal failings. During his run for governor and then afterwards, numerous women came forward with allegations of groping and misconduct. He later admitted that he had
behaved badly sometimes. And all of this was followed by the shocking revelation that he had fathered a child with his family's housekeeper, a secret he kept for over a decade, which ultimately ended his 25-year marriage to Maria Shriver.
So, where does all this leave us? You've got 3 lives, 3 monumental successes, but they're all shadowed by these undeniable flaws. It really forces us to ask a very complicated question about his legacy. So I'm asking you, how do you measure the life of a man like this? He's a true rags-to-riches icon who basically personified the power of will. But at the same time, his personal conduct often fell way short of the heroic characters he played on screen. It's a paradox, and there's just no easy answer. In the end, maybe the best way to understand him is through an analogy that he likes to use himself. After Sir Edmund Hillary conquered Mount Everest, he didn't just sit back and relax. He looked around and saw the next peak to climb. And for Arnold Schwarzenegger, it seems there was always another peak. And the climb, well, the climb was everything.